Good morning. Today we're going to be taking a look at XRP, some ICP, a little bit of the Bitcoin and liquidity index. All right, so let's jump into kind of some observations that we have today. So we've had a continuation since the highs here of lower highs that we've been setting continually across the board. And so each of these highs have basically stair-stepped their way down all the way to the bottom. And with that, we've also been playing out with lower lows, just kind of, these obviously went higher, but we had the higher low, or the lower highs here in this level. And we then now are looking at these final kind of finishing moves to the downside. So we'll see how this ultimately closes here. But right now on my indicator for momentum, we actually have a bullish divergence forming where the price action is moving down, but the momentum is actually moving up. And if we close this actually green, this will be a continuation. And generally, these are your kind of pivotal changing moments. So right now, for example, you ended up having a bearish divergence on the 1 hour, moving down up into this price action as momentum slowed. And then we had our corrective ABC down. And overall, structure-wise, we hit -2 deviations on the breakdown, along with a fib back test of an 886, which so far is holding. So what we're looking for now, primarily with this bullish divergence, hopefully closing here in the next hour with the positive momentum, we are looking for a trend change. So what we want to see is a moving above the prior level. Then we can start working on some back tests and working our way out of here. Okay, so that's kind of the ultimate takeaway that we're looking at, is some kind of higher high being established and higher low being established, so that this tends to be your indication that we're getting close to the end through that bullish divergence. So probably not much more downside for XRP at this point, which is pretty good. And we will check into that. So we ultimately say there is some liquidity down here, and we have a potential for this to be swept, but we're so stacked above. I mean, a move into these 50s should be fairly easily done in the next few days or so. Now, you'd say, okay, well, what are we looking at as far as Bitcoin's concerned? Well, Bitcoin decided last night to finish its completion of its wave 1, and then now it's been moving into a corrective flat pattern, right? So we had an ABC down, ABC up, and then this is generally your 5-wave move to the downside, and it decided to sweep and make a new lower low here on the Binance chart. So you can see we have our 5-wave move to the downside, and then this would maybe even be considered a wave 1, 2, and then this would be a 3, and then right through here. So maybe like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then this will be a wave 4, and then another 5th that kind of gets drawn out. There might be some more downside for Bitcoin ultimately with this now weird ABC completion that ultimately did sweep the lows, resetting the count. So we would now be looking, if this was the end, for a continuation, giving us a breakout of a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and so on and so forth. So we would want to be looking for something along those lines. But the likelihood of us continuing lower to finish a 1, 2, and then maybe this is a 3, 4, and 5 for the 5th, something like that, for this flat sweep would be there. So definitely some inefficiencies on Bitcoin. The lower low ultimately came in on Binance, and I've seen it also then on the market cap chart. So we are resetting our count, and we're going to see if we can just start an impulsive move off of this lows. Now, all is not lost. So we have ICP though. So ICP is coming into the party and saying, hey guys, I was supposed to reject this level and roll over, which I started doing yesterday. But since then, I've continued and moved up. So ICP is actually up 32% on the day so far, moving into this level. So as soon as I saw this, I was like, oh, good. This is what we want to see as far as structures that give us the ability to break out. So note here on ICP, as we zoom out, that we have this big area of demand shown in this box here. And we have the price action of ICP moving into that area of demand. And what we want to see is we want to see it get in here, chop around, and clear, and actually hit a $7.38 level for ICP, and do it more so like this kind of view, where we would ultimately finish out with a final move taking us up into the $8 range. So this reminded me of the XRP fractal off of the lows that is now going to be reset. So let me get over there real quick. So the this was our fractal we've been following back in June, and we have a level of basic, there we go, a level of how we moved out for this low, and here's how it looks like ICP to me. So basically we had a range area here to the left. We ended up having a breakdown on the price action, and then you can see that from here we had a wave 1, wave 2, impulsive break up to the 1618 above this breakdown area. So if we go back to ICP, you can see we broke above the breakdown area that was right here. And then from now, we're going to chop up back into the supply that we had here and eventually get on top of it after hitting the 1618. And so for ICP, that would take us from our current level now, moving us all the way up to $7.38, getting us above this move, and then ultimately working on a rejection and accumulation through here and back up to the $8 mark, and then a back test to close this gap that we're doing right here. Very similar to what we saw on the XRP back in the day. So the sideways chop is what we're going to be looking for on ICP if we don't get just a clear rejection, but ultimately we want to see this move off the lows continue, and there's where we're getting it. So let's zoom in on the ICP price action a little bit more closely so you can see what we're doing. We have another bull flag set up here. So we have a wave 1 move off the lows, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, an ABC completion, higher lows being set, swept up through those lows, and now we've done another ABC right here, getting ready to, with a bull flag, continue its trend higher, which is going to push us up into this region hopefully, and getting us up to the 738. But any of these stops along the way, because we do have a 50-week moving average, could be our targets right through here. The idea being, though, ultimately, that when we do get back up there, we are going to get above this price action and start closing above that level as support, and then we can ultimately come back down and sweep it quickly and then out of here. So so this is definitely a good setup for ICP, and this is what we're looking for XRP off these lows with the bullish divergence. Is we want to see a sweep out of here and move back up into this 275 region before maybe a quick back test and out. So so definitely some good setups playing here for ICP. And finally, when we jump over to the Sigma coin, we're having some still continuation here, but this too could be our trend change, because as of right now, we have had lower highs all the way down through this region here as moved through it, and this is our first kind of upper high based off the capitulation event. And what we want to now see is a lower high being established here, and the momentum is in our favor on the 12-hour and the 3-day, I believe, to give us, so we're still having a momentum move to the upside to give us this potential breakout, and we're green for the day. So with XRP's potential move higher, I'd like to see a 2.45 million market cap clearance showing up here. And if we got that, then that would ultimately be a trend change, because now we have a really good higher high moving us up into here, 150% return from the current prices. And then we could then back test with a lower low and, take back half of it and still be continuing the trend. So the reversal is definitely getting close on XRP, and we're already seeing the signs of it here on the momentum. So, and Sigma as well. So now, ultimately, Sigma hopefully going to give us that higher low setup for the first time, and we can start working our way out of here. And then we're going to have the liquidity, possibly one more sweep for XRP, but might just be done, and it can get out of here. Bitcoin, what are you doing? You're setting lower lows. So we're going to have to see how this structure plays ultimately for Bitcoin on how it moves out this way. We would like to see this impulsive structure. And then we have XRP giving us a potential breakout to the top of the range, which would be the 275 backtest, along with ICP already being up in this region. And we want to see ICP very aggressively clear the $5.63-64 region to ensure that it's not just an ABC up, but instead a continuation out of here. So that's what we'll be looking for on the ICP chart. And finally, XRP is getting close to closing a bullish divergence after the lows with the trend change, and we want to see our first trend change move, where we then establish a higher high and a back test, and then we can get out of here. So we'll be here for it. So look for that higher high coming in, and it may even move us up to like 245 and then a back test down to here, something like that. But we want to see a higher high play out, and this is telling us that it's getting close. So hopefully that was helpful this morning, and we'll check in tomorrow.